Okay, good morning. Let's begin this class by reminding you of something which we explained last time. We talked about 3 phases of interaction. The pre-interaction, the interaction itself, and the post-interaction. And we said each phase, it has its own required skills, which should be possessed by sales people. Now, the major goal of today's class is to review these 4 skills which should be available in the pre-interaction phase by the salesperson. In other words, today we are going to talk about setting objectives skill, what is it, and how should the salesperson exercise it. Second, we are going to talk about knowledge management, what is the definition of the knowledge management, and how we can manage it. Also, we are going to talk about information gathering, and we will talk about its sources. What are the sources which the salesperson can use to get information? We will conclude by something called rehearsal. So this is briefly what we are going to do in today's class. Clear? Let's start. Now, if we are going to give a title for today's class, we can say it is the planning which must be done by the sales people before any sales transaction or any sales sale. If this planning is done accurately and in an organized steps, the success of dealing with the customer will be greater. But if this planning was not done or implemented or executed by the sales persons in an appropriate way, the success of dealing or succeeding in business transaction will go down. So, as the term planning skills implies, this stage occurs when you collect your thoughts and organize your interaction strategy. Prior or before any meeting or any talking or any phone conversation with customer face to face. So let's zoom our attention on 2 things. First, we have to collect our thoughts. Second, we have to organize our interaction strategy. These are general words, general phrases, but their meanings are very complicated. How we are going to collect our thoughts if we do not have this word, which is said or which is called? Exactly. We cannot organize our thoughts without having something called information. The same thing, how we are going to make a strategy if we do not have another word which is called? Exactly. Objectives. So objectives along with the information, they are crucial for increasing the success of the salesperson. Let's go on. So in the pre-calling, all the salespersons, they are going to answer 4 major questions. Listen, each question is linked with 1 skill. So let's begin. When we are saying all salespeople, they must answer this question, what do I want to accomplish? This means we are talking about setting exactly objectives. Also, when the salespeople saying, what do I know about the prospect? This means we are talking about information management. Information management. The third question which should be answered by the salesperson, what or where can I find the information? This is exactly, Haneen, information resources. Or finally, when we are saying what I am going to say, we are referring to the rehearsal. Along with the sales message. What's the sales message? The sales message which the salesperson is going to tell to the customer or tell the customer during the phone conversation or during face-to-face meeting. So we tried to summarize or re-express the 4 skills which must be possessed by the salesperson in the pre-interaction phase by 4 questions. But we are referring to the same skills. Any question or comments so far? Now, let's go on. Now we are going to begin or start our work by talking about the first skill, which is setting objectives. Which is setting objectives. Where we have to remember that salespeople should not make a call unless they can specify an action they want the prospect to take. Unless they can specify an action, a response that they want the prospect or the potential customer to take. So the objective should be clear, specific, and not to collect information or build good relationship with the customer. Somebody is going to say you are contradicting yourself. But for a while you said that we have to collect information and we have to build good relationship with the customer. You are right, but not now. Exactly. Now or at this time we are focusing on one thing, which is setting objectives. That's it. Or later on, after we are going to finalize setting the objectives, we can talk about collecting information and so on. So we have to postpone these two things later on. And our focus should focus on good objectives. Therefore, we are giving here examples or 3 examples of good objectives. Like, for example, a salesperson might say, I am going, or the client agrees to supply information on historical inventory levels. This is a goal, this is objective, this is objective. But why? Because later on, after 1 hour or 2 hours, we will start talking about collecting information. So if the customer doesn't agree, how we are going to go to second step or to second skill? We cannot. A second objective, the client tells you who will be involved in the purchase decision. In other words, who are the key personnel who are having the decision of purchasing. Is it objective? Yes, it is objective. Why? Because we studied in the past, salespersons must never waste their time or efforts dealing with non-significant people or staff members who are not involved in purchasing decision. So is it objective? Of course it is objective. A third objective, these objectives calls from the customer to take a specific action. Well, the word specific action means response. Or response might be negative and might be positive. If it is positive, this means we are doing an excellent job. We are doing an excellent work. Because the positive position or the positive response means the client will cooperate with you as a salesperson. But if it is a negative response, the client at this time will not cooperate with you. But is this a harmful thing? No, it isn't harmful. The harm can be happened under one scenario. If you, as a salesperson, you didn't get a response, neither negative nor positive. If you didn't get a response, either it is negative or positive, this means this is a problem. But if you received a negative response at this time, that's fine. After 1 month or in the second trial, you might get a positive one. So the most important thing is to get a response. To get a response. Imani, what you would like to say?
The quantity, the objective, not to collect information. How can I set the objective without collecting information?
Now listen. Collecting information is considered to be step number 2. Now we are talking about setting objectives, which is step number 1. Step number 1 is representing the fertile soil. What's the meaning of fertile soil? التربة الخصبة. For getting information later on. How? By getting a response from the customer. How? By trying to convince the customer to supply us with information, and so on and so on. Clear?
It means if we have a good response or
Positive or negative?
negative,
We are progressing.
and we make a goal.
Yeah, we are progressing in our planning in the pre-interaction phase. It is a progress. Even if it is negative now, or if you got a negative response, this progress is going to be very slow. Somebody is going to say, "Tab, why you named it to be progress?" To get a response or a negative response from the client or the customer, this is a progress. Because this is the beginning of what? Of interaction. Exactly.
We will continue.
Exactly. And we will build on later on or in the future. Well, remember, if it is negative now, after 1 week or a month, or in the second trial, it might be positive. But start the ball. This is very important. But how we are going to start the ball if we didn't get neither negative nor positive response? This means the situation is going to be standstill. What's the meaning of standstill? The same. Clear? Okay, go on. So now we are going to go to second skill, which is knowledge management. So we finished with the first skill, which is setting objectives. And now we are talking about knowledge management, which can be rewritten by this question, which is, what do I know about the prospect or the potential customer? So here, basic information that may be useful to know about the individual includes exact spelling and pronunciation about the name of the customer, the title of the customer, his or her age, residence, education, buying authority, clubs, memberships, hobbies, etc. Somebody might be surprised saying, why we have to collect such information? We have a general rule in the sales science. More information you will get about your prospects, a greater probability of success you will get as a salesperson. With the vice versa is correct. Therefore, let's give this scenario or this simple example. Imagine one of the sales companies is going to provide you or send you an email or a letter with your name written inaccurately or incorrectly. What is the impression which you are going to have about this sales agency? Very bad. The same thing if you are going to receive a phone call and they are going to mispronounce your name. Is it good?
No.
It isn't good. Somebody might ask me, why as a salesperson I have to collect information about, for example, the clubs or the membership of this target customer?
Place of him to know how to look at him.
Let's give another scenario. Imagine you are going to try to meet him in his organization or agency. Well, after that, the secretary told you he or she is too busy. You went the second day in order to meet the same customer. You got the same response, that the customer is a very busy person. So should we surrender or give it up? We can hunt him or her. Where? The places where he is going to go after the end of his working day. Where we are going to meet him or her? In the clubs or the associations which are, or which?
He have a membership.
Exactly. He has a membership in. Because of this we are saying all these informations are very important. Go on. Not only is a personal information important, but also you should also review what you know or do not know about the client's organization. So far we are talking about info. So this information, they are subdivided to individual information about an individual customer. The second one, we are talking about the organization where he or she is working in. Remember, we are talking about a circulated information. If you are going to deal with this individual is going to have a demand, or he is going to have a demand. If you as a salesperson is able to satisfy this demand or need, This person, he will go and market for your agency in his own organization. Is this a potential, or is this a probability or a possibility? Yes. Or sometimes he is going to provide you with essential information about his organization. So we are revolving in one circle. Organizations, remember, they are social organizations. In other words, persons or individuals, they design and built and established these organizations. Organizations or information should be including every major. Either we are talking about individual base or organizational base. So we are not restricted to one kind of data or information. We are including the two kinds of information related to individuals or citizens and related to their organizations. So next are some of the questions that salesperson should be able to answer about the customer. Now listen. In the second slide, we are going to expose to you sample of the questions which you might be asked by the customer. So this customer might ask you, for example, what is the size of your business? Somebody is going to say, the size of the customer, is it important? It's important. Why?
Break-even sales.
Because later on, if you are going to determine the size of the business, this means we can determine the expected sales volume. Generally, small businesses requiring small sales value, medium, big. Second, what product lines do they sell and what markets do they serve? Third, how, where, when, why, and by whom will the products be used? All these are questions. You as a salesperson, you must have the answer for them before you will speak up with the customer. Third or fourth, who are the prominent executives and the other key personnel? The other key personnel who are having the authority of the purchasing decision. Should we know them? Of course you should know them. A fifth question or a sixth question, who are their competitors and on what basis do they compete? Or somebody is going to ask, طب why we need to collect information about the competitors?
To avoid risk.
Also, each competitor is looking at his own competitor as an enemy. Therefore, if you are going to ask information from the competitor, he or she will be ready to supply you with these required information. Is that right or not?
Yes.
Of course. Also, do they have any previous experience with our company? In other words, a salesperson must know, have they ever dealt with us? Or if they dealt with us, was the feedback and the experience positive or negative? Did it encounter any problems or troubles? Was the relationship or the transaction smooth and good, and so on? Also, what are the prospects for the future sales volume? Well, this is reminding us with this. Once again, why we need to know the size and why we need to know the sales volume or the expected sales volume? And this is going to help us to organize our own customers. Who are the strategic ones and who are the non-strategic ones? Who are classified to be VIP customers and who are classified to be non-VIP customers? Well, this is reminding us with our previous classes. Any question, any comments about this? Clear? Okay, go on. Now we are going to go to the third skill, which is how a salesperson should master his skill of collecting information or data. Remember, when you know what information you need to make successful sales call, you can usually identify a number of successes for obtaining the data. But how I'm going to obtain the data? By various resources or sources, including company records. Number two, salespeople. Somebody is going to say, who are the salespeople? The salespeople who are working inside this targeted company. Because each company has its own what? Salespeople team. Third, customer, employees. A fourth source, publish information in the newspaper, in the media, in the TV. Fifth, observation of the prospective business operations. Sixth, competitors. Seventh, and the final one, and the company website. All these are potential resources by which I can gather data or information about the potential or the expected customer or client. Now, stop here. After I'm going to collect the information and the data, the salesperson will begin executing their own major work, which is sales. Regarding the sales people will be divided into two categories. One of them is named to be successful salespeople. A second group is named or is described to be less successful salespeople. The successful salespeople, they are sales staff members who are able to achieve a very high volume of sales. While the less successful salespeople, they are salespersons who are achieving intermediate or low level of sales volume. Now, successful salesperson or less successful salespersons or people. Remember here, the two characters of each type, they are different. They are different in their ideologies, concentrations, techniques, strategies, and so on. Well, this is very important. It might be in the final. Let's begin comparing between the two categories. The successful salespeople, they are saying the research about the prospect should be in a very detailed way. In other words, we have to collect information and data about the prospect as much as we can. While a less successful salespeople, they are saying, let's collect the minimum or a little level of information about the prospect. So the data here is huge and more than there. This is one difference. A second difference between the two categories. Successful salespeople, they are using reference for prospecting. In other words, they are dependent on other persons who dealt with the potential customer before. So we are going to go to these persons and we are going to ask them many questions so that we can collect data and information about the targeted customer or prospects. While the less successful salespeople, they are using just the records and the lists to collect data about the prospects. We'll stop here or be careful. Listen. In America in 2001, after America got its blow by Al-Qaeda, American federal government decided to make an investigation. Well, this investigation was trying to answer one question, which is why CIA and FBI, they were not able to anticipate the accidents or the terrorist attacks. They said America is considered to be the biggest and the first country which is using spying technology, including satellites and so on, and internet. When as part of this, they failed to anticipate this accident. And the answer was, American intelligence didn't depend on gathering information from persons. In other words, they were not hiring enough agents for them. They were satisfied by dependent on technology and internet spying. That's it. Because of this, they failed. Since that accident, American strategy of collecting information and data, it changed completely. Now they are striving and doing their own best to increase the number of the human agents who can provide them with the maximum amount of information or data. The same thing here. The successful salespeople, they are not satisfied by the records and the lists, but also they are collecting information from referrals. With the word referral, we defined it before. What is it?
One customer is
A person who is already dealt with the potential prospect. When we are saying dealt, it might be working with or lived with or friendship relationship. So this referral knows exactly how the prospect or the customer is thinking and behaving and acting. Now, the third difference between the two categories is the following. Successful salespeople, they are beginning their business or their sales business by asking questions. While the less successful salespeople, they are beginning or working with the sales by opening a product statement. Our product is enjoying the following, its price, specification, and so on. Somebody is going to say, why the successful salespeople, they are asking question? They are asking question because they would like to identify exactly the customer needs. Why they would like to identify first the customer needs? So that they can satisfy this need. They would like to satisfy this need. And so, let the prospect make a purchase decision. If you are going to help our prospect to identify his need, and we are going to show him or her that we are able to satisfy his need, then give him the freedom or give her the freedom to take her decision of purchasing. Or don't be intruder. Don't exercise any pressure on him or her. Give them enough space and time to take the decision on their own behalf. While a less successful salespeople, they are intruder and they are nagging. In other words, they will open with a product statement so that they are going to make a promotion. With this promotion, it is considered to be a standardized presentation. In other words, it is one unified presentation. They will use it with every single prospect.
yeah.
But let's ask ourselves this question. Are we talking about the same prospects?
No.
Are we talking about having the same financial capacities among the prospects? Are they thinking in the same way? Are their strategies the same? So they are different. So if the prospects are different, then exactly, our presentation should be different as well. So here they are diversifying their own presentation, but here they are talking about one standardized presentation. بيستخدموا إلقاء نمطي واحد مع الجميع. نمطي, standardized. Also, they are focusing on the product benefits. Or they do not care about what? The need of the customer first. So if they are going to be this, or they are going to make the same technique, this salesperson must or should or might be evaluated in the eyes of the prospect to be an opportunist. Why? Because this salesperson is seen by the prospect that he is focusing on marketing for the product benefit only. He doesn't care about the interest of the customer or the need of the customer. Or finally, they close by focusing on the most important customer objection. In other words, the less successful salespeople, they seem to be a nagging persons. They are exercising a pressure on the backs of the prospects. They are trying to pressurize them, to force them to buy their products. But here, we are giving space and time. Any question or comments about this? This is very important. Very, very important. Any question about the successful salespeople and the less successful? Clear? طيب, let's conclude. We will conclude by talking about the fourth and the last skill in the pre-interaction, which is rehearsal. As we said, rehearsal can be re-expressed by answering this question. What I'm going to say to the customer or prospect. In other words, what is my message? Exactly. So, all salespeople should have at least some idea of how they will initially start an interaction, what the question they will ask, and what benefits they plan to present. So, when preparing to call on clients, it is helpful to put yourself in their position. So, if you are going to put ourselves in their position, you should anticipate the questions which will be raised by the prospects. Well, after you should anticipate these questions, you should prepare their answers. Exactly. So that we are not going to be surprised while we are talking with them or meeting with them. So here we are going to provide you with a sample of the questions which you might be asked by the customer. So a customer might ask you, what are you selling? In other words, the customer is asking about your product or service. The customer might ask you, why do I need it? Why do I need the product or the service which you are trying to sell it to me? A third question, who is your company? Give me information about it. And of course, if he is going, or the prospect is going to ask you as a salesperson about your company, when it was established, who are the board of directors, and so on, and you didn't have exact information, or you began hesitant while you are answering the questions, this is going to give us a wrong signals for the customer or the prospect. The prospect might say, you are lying, even if you are not lying. But this is the signal which we got. Exactly. Fourth question, how much will it cost? For sure, the prospect will ask you about the price or the cost. Fifth, who else is using it? Who are the other prospects or the customers who are dealing with you? And are they satisfied? What kind of a person are you? Also, how does your solution compare to alternatives? Is the price competitive or not? Why do I need it now? Your record for support and service. Remember, the record for support and service, it includes insurance, installation, follow-up, customer service, and so on. So all these questions, they might be raised for you as a salesperson by prospect or the customer. You should plan for answering all of them in a confidential way. Otherwise, your probability of striking successful business transaction will go down. Any question or comments about this? Any question or comments? Okay, now, next time we are going to begin with the second phase, which is, so let's sum up. To prepare ourselves for the pre-interaction, we should do 4 things. What are these? Setting objectives, information management, information gathering, rehearsal, which means training, how we will deliver our sales message to customers. Any question or comments about this? After we finished and prepared ourselves, then next time we will begin our actual interaction. Any question or comments? Thank you very much. See you next time.